Welcome everyone. Today we're going to start a new chapter on our series on the book Opening the Why of the New Awareness of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We are now on the chapter 6, which is called Training in Wisdom. I'm going to call it Liu call it. So, hello, howdy to everyone. So now we're studying this text, right? Opening the Why of the new Awareness, and we arrived here at chapter 6, Training in Wisdom. So the main topic of this book that we're studying are the 3 higher trainings. The 3 higher trainings are the higher trainings in moral ethics, the higher training in concentration, and the higher training in wisdom. And before we have talked about the 2 other higher trainings, so the higher training in moral ethics and the higher training in concentration. They're exactly in this order. So first moral ethics, then second concentration, and third wisdom. Why is that? Because moral ethics here in the practice of Buddhism acts as a foundation, as a basis upon which the higher training of concentration can be cultivated. And then on the basis of this training in concentration, we can give rise to the higher training in wisdom. And the higher training in wisdom is associated with the practice of special insight, while the practice of concentration is associated with calm abiding. Maybe you've heard these words. And the goal after developing this is to have the unity, a joining of calm abiding and special insight. So usually when we talk about wisdom, there are many different kinds of wisdoms, not only one kind of wisdom. But when we talk in the context of the higher training in wisdom, we're talking about what we can say the perfect wisdom. And among all of these types of wisdom, the highest type of wisdom is the wisdom of emptiness. And why is the wisdom, this wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom realizing emptiness, said to be the best wisdom? Because as sentient beings, as living beings, we have a heart, a mind full of afflictions, so full of attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, etc. And it's said that, in Buddhism, it's said that the thing that can harm the root of all these afflictions, all these negative emotions, is this wisdom realizing emptiness, and therefore it's the best wisdom that we can possibly have. And also, even Buddha Shakyamuni, it's famously said that Buddha Shakyamuni has taught 84,000 different dharmas or different teachings. But all of this myriad of teachings, all of these 84,000 different types of teachings, they were taught only with the purpose of making us give rise to this wisdom realizing emptiness. That's the only purpose of all of these teachings of the Buddha. Okay. Can everyone hear me? It's saying here that my internet's not so good. Is it okay? Can you just do like this? Okay.
Petro can hear you. Good. Good.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Barry.
Tene ta ne ngaso tombanya tobi shiroze tata na ngaso di jong ngoni mela laba shirop ki laba ze ti ko mela shewti ta laba ni laba sam ki no ni samba laba shirop ki laba ne ta shirop ki laba ze ko bombo shirong ko tonda ti song shando ta shon ki pi goni churo to number ji pi shiram na number je ba na shiroze ta ngaso log no le chi ton rinda mambo yore ta sinjong nga chinga chin no ne ta de shiro to yongi rwa 영이 가라 어디노 시럽들 다 시럽스야 돼 가니지는 롱기 열라 다죠 제버 정지지 인지 민지 정지지게 글로지리에서 제버 제게 어디.
And here when he talks about wisdom, he first starts explaining what is wisdom. So wisdom, for those who have studied the 51 mental factors, wisdom is one of the mental factors. It is an ascertaining object ascertaining mental factor. And here it says that the wisdom is a thorough discernment of phenomena through investigation and analysis. So among all the different kinds of minds, you have many different kinds of minds. For example, there's 51 mental factors or 51 different types of minds. And wisdom is this mind, this state of mind, we can say, that necessarily has this aspect of investigating and analyzing its object.
다 던데기 시럽들라 다주 끼니 네 검버집이 시럽도 용용도 소소그 길라 개동 가서 선제 간이듯이 소소그 길라 시럽에서 버지 용말 시럽 롱그 길라 시럽도 요래디 또 시럽도 지 녀모도 소고 바드니 시럽도 용다 버지레 마트레 데데 가서 다 손로야보 돈이 시럽 용다 버지제 데니 시럽 용다 버도 용도 검미 뭐 공배 돈이다 검반 탈치소나 아니 시럽도 산지 뭐 잘했어 남지.
And we can say that there are no sentient beings that don't have wisdom. We all have this faculty of wisdom. We are all endowed with wisdom. But the thing is that most of our wisdom is mixed with different kinds of afflictions, with different kinds of misconceptions. So the more we examine and analyze in accordance to reality and meditate on it and habituate ourselves to these realities that we can uncover through our wisdom, then we can eventually the final point of this development is Buddhahood, is to become enlightened.
다 고산적 연들이 논다. 디 검바 조바나 시럽기 바로도 집안 여러 인생이도. 디 검바 조바는 따주 깊이 검비 깊이 르디 용도 검네. 검바 탈치서나 다 되니 검 먹게 차서나 아니 남치 장도에서 바로도 침바자 남치려. 바로도 침바도 남치려. 남치려. 시럽기 바로 집안온다. 이런 남치려.
시럽 바로도 침바 남치려.
실체지 남치려.
And here His Holiness says in the book that when comprehensive familiarity with that wisdom is gained, it transforms into the perfection of wisdom. So we all have this, we all have wisdom, but when we perfect it to its last stage, when we go to the last stage of developing this wisdom, it becomes the perfection of wisdom. And perfection of wisdom is also called omniscience. Omniscience and is perfection of wisdom.
다니 시럽도 나르스 문제라 요래디. 나송게 시럽도 시럽 탈치마도 말와. 데디 당 아론송게 jel라 요비 시럽디 탈치마서 고셔.
And we do have our own wisdom here, but this is not a fully developed wisdom. So what is the job that we need to accomplish? What is the work we need to do? We need to get this wisdom that we have right now at this moment and take it to its fully developed stage.
아니 시럽달라 상샤레 지도네 시럽을 못 보여디 단나가 거기서 봐봐 시럽 상기나지시리 투비 시럽 삼비 시럽 검비 시럽즈니 시럽 상나지시.
And among the many types of wisdom, today I wanted to talk about three types of wisdom, which is the wisdom of hearing, the wisdom of contemplation, and the wisdom of meditation.
다 되노네 돈보네 투비 시럽기 투비 시럽라 때니 삼비 시럽기 삼비 시럽라 때니 검비 시럽기 때니 검반탈시도나 니 시럽기 바로 침 맞아 참 그랬어.
So how does the order works here? So we have the wisdom of hearing. Relying on the wisdom of hearing that we developed through hearing, we get the wisdom of contemplation. And then relying on the wisdom of contemplation, we can finally generate the wisdom of meditation. And then when the wisdom of meditation becomes fully developed, then we get this perfection of wisdom.
다 가서 투비 싫어져야 돼. 간이 기고래. 도모 투비 싫어도 가서 이제 준주지도 요리디 딩고 공부 동안라 가서 두바 보소시니다. 아니 탈로지 요리스 딩고 공부.
So we need to see how do we generate the first one, right? The wisdom of hearing. And we all have wisdom of hearing, but how do we develop it? So we need to rely on perfect hearing. Perfect hearing.
다 아니 두바 보소시야 돼. 가르치나 배나가서 다 도도된바 돈년다 템비중 찍은 걸로요. 아니 라마 다 그게 몸보도 투바지. 저자찍이나요. 그게 저장가 몸보도 투바지.
So first thing, we can also translate this perfect hearing, I think, as excellent hearing, maybe. And what is the meaning of this? For example, even one verse of a text that you're studying, for example, a text that's related to emptiness or to the wisdom realizing emptiness. Even one verse, one sentence, you hear this from many different teachers, not only from one teacher, but you hear from many different perspectives.
다티 몸보 투나래 가르페토 요래라나 아니 라마 몸보 그게 몸보라 투나 저자찍이 말다. 저자찍 때 교래 두콜로 몸보를 투바이나 아니 그 교기시서지 거기시서지 시서만라 몸보지 그러디 싫어만라 와지 투비 싫어만라 몸보지 기무라.
And what is the benefit of this? Because even though it's the same topic, it's not a different topic, the same topic, but if you hear from many different teachers, you get many different types of wisdoms of hearing. You get many different types of wisdom, many different types of perspectives to contemplate.
배낭가로지는데 디라가던도 진주지면서 요 말에 대 동보 진주던 룰르세 룰르서 내가 디라도 섭대담바 게 대사치 섭대 그리진 트레와이나
테마데
고디기미다 라마치서지 그 디라치도 섭대치 교사직 트디 직시로 거기 직시도 만다 몸부지래 그 저자직이나 또나지나 시동동 그 리파동도 만다 몸부래다 데데를 좀보라 기버지게레스.
For example, this text here, this is called the Collected Topics, is one of the first topics studied in the monasteries that Geshela has studied. And this topic, for example, I have studied with 7 different teachers. So even though it's just one subject, I went to one teacher, I studied with him, and then I went to a second teacher, a third teacher, seven teachers, so I could study this text.
That nigga tuvatele yon ngazondere. So chipo mayimba. Roba mombunyado tukuyorela. Roba mombunyado tuna chomakona koko ngazo koderchisa yora. I tikanilaso kojeri roba mombunyado nyego yores.
And also it's also beneficial if you can not only hear by yourself, so listen and study by yourself, but with many friends. Why is that? Because sometimes if you don't understand something, your friend is going to understand. When your friend doesn't understand something, you understand and you can explain this. So it's also beneficial to listen with many friends.
답변 나가서 지나 다자름 지리 로설문지나 지나 용아서 테치니와 마임바 되어 테 몸부니 대용 라마치마 그게 지마임바 그게 몸부니 대용 로니 치고 마임바 저 몸부니도 니나 다 몸보다 티바 몸보통 티바 기죽 섬소가 있는 투파 분소에 차려요.
Okay, so how do we say that it's this excellent hearing, this excellent listening? So, for example, one topic such as this text opening the eye of the new awareness, we don't study this just once. We don't listen to it just once and then let it be. We listen to it many times. So we studied many times the same topic. We don't only study the same topic many times with just one teacher. We also listen to many different types of teachers, many different perspectives, types of explanation. And not only that, we also we don't do it by ourselves alone. We do it with many friends that can help us in understanding. So when we have these 3 characteristics in our study, in our listening, in our hearing, then we can say that we have this excellent hearing.
다들 니지네 몸보 튜니 다 몸보 고디오 단디디 게임 딜라도 고아지로 다 고아서 많이 받대 투비 싫어서 애들이 그 싫어도 비타고 싫어요 말이야 다 띵하마디 선비 싫어서 애들 다 선비 싫어 소소고 버겨 디켜지니 선호도 거예요 선비 싫어
But if we go to many teachers, we do all of this and we think, oh, okay, so this teacher says this, oh, this other one says this, okay. This wisdom, this is the wisdom of hearing, but this is not a very powerful wisdom. And the powerful, it starts to get more powerful when we go to the wisdom of contemplation. So in the wisdom of contemplation, you are thinking by yourself. You have all of these different perspectives that you've heard, and you start thinking by yourself to make it more powerful, your wisdom more powerful.
다 아니 배나가서 세링 빠지 나오 동보 세리게 라중지 소소군니 자주 녀서지 되뇨 먹기티 정지제 따게 제니 정지제고다 디 노제레 나서 다 게사 몸부터 교사지도 코사지고도 교시에서 코시에서 만라 몸부지려고라 다 만라 몸부지되네 소소가 손은 버껴도니 다 가서지는 소바 못서잖아 다디 겐데긴데 송샤 되게 대송샤 아니 저거도 점세가른도 콜로가른도 거기도 점세가른도 콜로가른도 단 정지 제니 다 소소는 원이도 이야분도 소소지나 that's 상호통의 거고 아래서.
For example, with when you're training in science or when you're studying science, you study many different perspectives, what many scientists of the past have said, but eventually you go to the lab and you start to investigate, you start to do your own research and you start to investigate the topics of your preference. In our case, it's exactly the same. We listen from many different texts, from many different teachers, and then in our case, in the monastery, we go to debate, which basically means to start thinking for yourself, okay, I heard this from this master, but what is the reason for him saying this? And what is the reason that the other teacher said something else? Which reason is this better? Which reason do I agree more with? And you start comparing all of this, you start having your own understanding of these topics.
다 드니제네 소노 몸보도 이제 몸보를 통해 가서 다 소노 개인기 직 소나한테 소소그티 소노 직동 아니 종류를 직다 아니 소소가 리파통 그래서 이제 몸보를 소노도 되니 바탄 더제 소소그 직 로지게 되라 가서 지파세 맞을 되라 성주기 싫어 올라셔
And based on this, based on using all of these different reasonings and having heard so many teachings, so many perspectives, and understanding the reasonings used behind these explanations. So hearing from different masters, studying, looking at the treatises, at the text yourself, and using your own reasoning, your own way of thinking, you might get to a point where you're going to think, it's like this. I know it's like this. You get certainty about this the subject that you're studying, and when you have this, when you get this mind, we call this a type of mind that's called inferential cognizer. So this is a mind that conceptually completely understands the topic, and then you can give rise to this realization that's called inferential cognizer.
That is 다 아니 투비토나 소노톤 소노모보 돈이 진세모보 솔로톤이 다 몸볼을 녀서나 소노모보 통사 진세모보 제야요라 몸볼을 만이나 거기 지시야도 마도 소노통사 진세요마라 데데 몸볼을 녀요나 거기셔서 먼저 몸보 오 니근들이 송샤도 디기도 코간도 정지직지 코간들이 송샤도 될 코간도 네 진세모보 소노토라 진세모보 소노토디 파쇼디 조자 템포도 야버지 니오래 니오텔로텔 지반세마 somgyo 야버지 레이레.
And if we need to develop the wisdom of contemplation that we're talking about, thinking by yourself, these different reasonings, if you want to develop this wisdom of contemplation, that's why it's necessary to listen from many different perspectives, because each perspective is going to provide you with a different type of reasoning. If you listen just from one person, from one perspective, you're not going to be able to think of many different reasonings. You're going to think, oh yes, it's just like that. It's just like this teacher has said. If you listen to many, then you can use many different reasonings, then you can investigate for yourself and give rise to this inferential cognizer through the wisdom of contemplation.
Tene tala sanjogu shirojita. Ta tene jene gonjogu shirojegush. Ani gonguni de jene gongush ta. Tombo tu tene sam tu bitole sonoto bi sambi tente la. Tene lok kamberchene gomze tene jene jare mato tombo igine lama za tumetani gojoto yamari. Sambi tente ne goga lok yoni jebarche yoni kamberche batala gam norta.
And then after having this wisdom of contemplation, after having a strong wisdom of contemplation, then we start to meditate on the topics that we have ascertained through the power of our contemplation. So meditating here means basically becoming habituated. So habituated to what we have ascertained through our contemplation. And this is the moment that we start to focus on meditation, on habituation to these right views, so to speak. It's not possible for us to start meditating without ever having heard teachings or ever having listened to masters.
답변은 가서 드리지네. 동네 때문에 용지 다 가서 오만지 반다이나 다 동네 때문에 용지라 이 동볼라마기 신에도 그게 너무 몰라 투니텔라 소노모부터 소노토니 되니 제니 동반이 강하가 나자들레오라 소노토선에 상비트는데 되니 감다 동네 또 비용 지르 소노도 동네 감을 제발라 네 동네 때문에 용소니 되니 소소그 소노토 리비겐세 빠졌던 장지지는 파체 동반이 세던데 소소지니 디고라 메시지아레스.
For example, if you want to meditate on emptiness, right? We want to meditate on emptiness, then we need to look for treatises, for credible sources that explain to us what emptiness is. For example, the book by Arya Chandakirti, Introduction to the Middle Way, that you might have heard of. So first we need to study or listen to the explanations of this text, for example, from our root Lama, from a teacher, a qualified teacher. And then based on what we have studied, we need to start thinking for ourselves. Okay, so what is emptiness? But if it's like this, is it like this? So reasoning about this. And then when you get the feeling, when you get the idea, okay, so this is emptiness, then you start to meditate. So that's the way to meditate on emptiness. tu sang gang kar che gina zo de nga so shigwa da to dong bi tong ba ni de shigu shiro de go ba la de ne tan da ji ne jar ma chi ti no so re da shirab de la namba sang shi shang da to bi shirab ge zo to bi shirab sen ji de ja to bi shirab de shirab de sang so shang do de no ne tong bo de to bi shirab se de. So through these three types of wisdoms, we are approaching here His Holiness Dalai Lama. He has given a different division for wisdoms. For those who have the book, he's talking here about the wisdom understanding the ultimate, the wisdom understanding the conventional, and the wisdom understanding the welfare of sentient beings. And today we're going to talk more about the wisdom understanding the ultimate.
다 디노네 도도 도비 싫어 이렇게 때려라 싫어도 단나가 녀를 도시 되었다 투비 싫어 검비 섬비 싫어 검비 싫어 서래 다 아니 디노네 당아서 다더 싫어 그 도자 열그 도던도 간디레세 띵고 나서 있어.
So here before I have talking about the wisdom understanding the ultimate. So we have just talked more about wisdom. What is wisdom? For example, the wisdom of hearing, contemplation, and meditation. And then we also need to understand, so what is this ultimate? So wisdom, understanding the ultimate. What is ultimate here?
다 도덤 제기 때려라 아니 다 노바 상지발라 지다마만 두디바 신점바 오마바제 된다마 시유레 제가가 도덤 조세라 타라기 기범무 유레스.
So when we talk about ultimate in the context of Buddhism, we have 4 different philosophical schools that you might have heard of. So there is the Vaibhashika, using the Sanskrit names Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, and the Madhyamaka. So we have these 4 ones, and they have many different degrees of subtlety to their understanding of what is ultimate.
어디래 당아서 언니 전담마 시게 도당 조세디 시바이나 다 오마 탄저 이거 동반년의 도당세리 디시발라 전다 5만 원지 5만 원지 9만 원지 맞다 5만 원지 그 도당 조세디 아버지시나 아니 탄저라고 도당문이데 또와라 페도 전부 요래지.
So inside the Madhyamaka there are 2 also types of Madhyamaka. So the Sautantrika Madhyamaka and the Prasangika Madhyamaka. The highest one is this last one, Prasangika Madhyamaka. So if we want to understand this last one, the highest one, that's said to be the highest one, Prasangika Madhyamaka, if we can understand how the Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, understand the ultimate, there's a lot of benefit understanding the way they posit the ultimate for us to understand what the Prasangika are talking about.
다 오만 단계와 시오 기대를 가서 그다 고아 야셔도 다 오만 단계와 시비 도던들에 다 오만 단계와 시비 도던달라 도던 덴바도 돈이 된시를 생기지도 도도 덴바도 돈이 된시 말에서게 리니얼다디
그래 도규어라
단계와 그노
도규어는
단계와 노 당가서 뇨레 쟁게 그노라라 돈이 또 도도 덴바니 찍바래 생기지 돈이 또 도도 덴바니 찍바 말에서게 리니얼에서
So this last, the highest philosophical school is the one that we have the most need to actually understand. So the Prasangika Madhyamaka, and even inside this philosophical school of the Prasangika Madhyamaka, there are some people that say that ultimate and emptiness are the same thing. So they're mutually inclusive, and there are also practitioners that say that here emptiness and the ultimate are not the same thing inside the Prasangika.
Tebena ngaso nyole loju chesa ke jon ni pinju suno tabi shungwa pinju suno tabi songchina tonyi to de me tuji mare la res tonyi la to de ma bi chore ti to de ma tonyi bi chomare mote de to de mare tonyi mare song.
So for example the master that has written most of the treatises that we studied in my monastery Panchen Sonandakpa, he says that ultimate reality and emptiness are not the same thing. If it's ultimate reality, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily emptiness. For example, the truth of cessation, the third of the Four Noble Truths, it is an ultimate reality, but it's not emptiness.
Dan kipa jemba ke jono tonya to de ma tuji re ze songgeyor da jiramche ke jinji lama sorda jiramche korok nola teni chepanda sipo sikame sara ko sikame di ani kipa so kundar che joto manda ani le de sara.
And then because Lama Tsongkhapa, for those who know Lama Tsongkhapa, great Tibetan master, he didn't make it very clear whether he sees ultimate reality and emptiness as the same thing or mutually inclusive. So among his followers, many masters, many scholars, some of them they say that it's the same thing or it's mutually inclusive. Some say that it's not.
다 아니 도도 덴바로 기테라 돈이 라자나 돈이 되지래라 나이 쳐버미도 말해라 나이 쳐버미도 건지 좀 그렇게 말해 다 도도 덴바로 기테라 오마 탄제비 도도 덴바시 기테라 돈이 걸어라 돈용이라 담바요 이제 또 담제 니시라 좀 피니 돈기지 담바기지 데데 오마 탄제바시나 돈이 걸어라 돈용이라 담바요래지 니가 지질 거고 요래지
지질 거고 요래지 이나요
젬바 로카 다 돈보테지
but there is no big difference if we understand them to be the same thing or not the same thing, ultimate reality and emptiness. In Tibetan, the word for ultimate is don dam. So there are two words here, don and dam. For the Prasangikas, they are just one word. They both mean emptiness. Don is usually means object, and dam means excellent. So the excellent object, or excellence and object. For the Prasangika, object here means emptiness, excellence means emptiness. For the other tenets, they mean two different things, excellence and object. These two words make the English word ultimate. Okay, that's how it's translated, dondam.
다니 콜로 돈담 세고 이제 세가르는 추는디가 초레스 밀링 터디드레스 추는디 야켓.
And why is it called ultimate, or if we do a more direct translation, so it's object excellence. Why is it called like this? Because among every object in the universe, every object that our mind can ever grasp, this is the most excellent one, this is the best one. That's why it's called object excellent, ultimate.
베게노는 도담지기들을 기도는 도담바지기들을 잘하지는 약셰도 차셰들을 도담다.
Usually in Tibetan we use in our day-to-day lives we use this word ultimate. I think in English we don't use as much, but we use this word when we want to say that something is amazing, excellent, the best thing.
다니 호마타니 랑지바당 센잠발나리레 데미나요 로벨레덴도 아니 로벨레덴지 아코라 데도 퍼데 추타도 초롱도 아니 파파 토메도 로베인 솔라브제리다 고다 돈다디전 센잠바당 오마랑지발라브제리 센잠바도 랑지바니가 도탑덴바제 카친시레스 도 로카샤 담바 로카샤 카친시레스.
And the other Mahayana tenets, for example, the Chittamatra, are also called mind only. and the other division of the Madhyamaka, which is Sautantrika, Swatantrika, Swatantrika Madhyamaka. So this is the second division of the Madhyamaka, right? So the highest one, Prasangika, the first one, Swatantrika. Them, the Swatantrika and the mind only, also called Chittamatra, they understand these two words, Don, Dham, object, and excellence, as having different meanings. Okay?
다 고속고 돈돈 세야 돼 간데 잘을나 돈 세야 기대를 요 동반이라 잘해 동바세 기대 돈윤영 모습도 비녀자이시도 그래 다 돈이데 동반이 또 비녀자이시기 열려 비견세지 도도 덴발라 돈이로 도도 덴발로 그견세들다 돈이 걸어로 저도 도도 덴발라 그래 다 도도 덴발로 그견세 가르스나 돈 돈이래스 동바 돈이 모습도 비녀자이시 그거 되게 열려 비견세지 도도 덴발라 그래
Using the unknown
열 동반이나 도도 덴발라 그래 저번에 도도 덴발조로나 돈이 좀 세게 말해 돈이 미쳐서 다 그거 도도 덴발로 그견세 가르스 다시 되고라 견세 가르를 돈이래스 동바 녀자이시 돈이 모습도 비녀자이시 되게 열려 비견세지 그거 도도 덴발라
And then for this tenets, so the first word is done, which means object. This they understand as saying emptiness. Dham, which is the excellence here, is the wisdom realizing emptiness. And for them also, ultimate reality means emptiness. If we ask them to say, what is ultimate reality? They only have emptiness to say for the Chittamatra and the Swatantrika. Okay? But because the object of this wisdom is emptiness, they also call it ultimate reality. But it's not real ultimate reality. It's only a way of saying it, a way of speak.
다 아니 너디바가 todo 덴발이라. 너디바가 todo 덴바 니치 마타바 코인 바틀라 todo 덴바. todo 덴바 무부 미타파 지바 튼치리.
Okay, so now we just talked about the Mahayana tenets, right? The Madhyamaka and the Chittamatra. Okay, so in English we can also say middle way for the Madhyamaka and mind only for the Chittamatra. So the second one now, okay, the second one, which is the Swatantrika, for them to understand the way they talk about ultimate reality is easier. For them, everything, every functional thing or every impermanent thing is ultimate reality. That's what they say. Every functional thing or impermanent thing is ultimate reality.
다 아니 다도 콜레 돈도 니바 같이 그래. 돈 담바. 다돈 니지 코인 바틀라 돈으로. 담바 무서운 잘해. 단 니지 단지 무서운 노열이 비지지 도도 템발라. 니지 니마치나 무서운 노열이 말아.
Okay, and they also understand it different, this don, dham. Okay, so don is the object, dham is excellence, right? These two words together in Tibetan form the word that we translate in English as ultimate, in part of ultimate reality. So for the Swatrantika.
So Sautantrika is the lower tenet, and Swatantrika is the Madhyamaka tenet.
Okay, so the words are very similar in Sanskrit for this school. So Sautrantika
is the lower tenet.
Okay, Sautrantika is the lower tenet, okay, and Swatantrika is the higher tenet. That's part of the Madhyamaka. If it's your first time listening these words, I'm sorry, just hang on. It's going to get easier. But the lower tenet, so it's Sautrantika. So their understanding of these words, okay, so object and excellence. Object for them is all compounded phenomena, all compounded things. Uncompounded things are not here, so only compounded things. And the excellence here is our direct perception, which is one type of mind, direct perception. And because these compounded phenomena, they are the appearing object to this direct perception, they are ultimate. They are the ultimate reality because they are the appearing object to my direct perception.
그래서 게임 보셨을 때 가르마.
그래. Grammatic de pas dans rangiu petit trouble de Sanskrit là. Sautrantika dans Swatantrika.
네, 다 지라마와. 지라마가 그 도도 덴바도 니지 니가 니지 찍대죠. 그저 덴바. 또 그저 덴바도 도도 덴바니도 니지 찍대는 것도 주당제를 줘. 다다 전다 니 엄마 바가 추통시 때를 내니까 요다. 다드시는 거지. 다.
아,
딱 아니
심거.
드시는 거. 딱 그저 된바데 지라마 간에 잘했나. 배나 범바다고 찍기 때라 그저 된바이 잘해 도도 된바시. 다 범비 맞다바도 도도 된바리. 범바도 그저 된바리.
And then going out to the first philosophical school, which is the Vaibhashika. So for them, for example, a pot. This is not a pot. This is a cup. But the pot is conventional reality, and the impermanence of the pot is ultimate reality.
다 가르래나 범바된 토인다 지금 자셔이나 범바도 자셔. 근데 길라스도 토아 지금 자셔이나 그 길라스 오는 빌로도 메지를 드레스.
And why is,
못아바오 님빌로도 메지를 말했어.
and why is this? Because for them, how do we posit conventional reality and ultimate reality? For example, if you get a hammer right now, okay? If I get a hammer and I hit this glass, a mind that conceives of a glass is going to disappear, which is another way of saying that the glass breaks and the glass no longer exists if I break it. Therefore, it is conventional reality. But I'm still going to have the mind, oh, impermanence is there. There is impermanence. This we cannot destroy like this. So therefore, this is ultimate reality. This actually exists. Yeah.
고성가 열지 löte 콘 좀비 löten 돌아도 만들어라 시기라라. 그 파쇼도 정보 지금 매바 창도 löte 메지레도티 또 여트 그저도 말이야.
So the
파쇼도 요한도 나 löte를 요한도 되나 또도 되나.
So the way they understand is for example, if the cup breaks, the mind that is grasping at a cup disappears. So that's the way they understand. So if you break it and the mind that is apprehending a cup disappears, then it's conventional reality. If the mind apprehending the object doesn't disappear, it's ultimate reality, as in the case of impermanence. So this is what I wanted to introduce today. So maybe if you have questions, you can do questions.
How many questions? Indoor question.
Andrew, questions?
How to understand the difference between Swatantrika and Prasangika Madhyamaka? Swatantrika Madhyamaka and Prasangika.
Die rangyupa ng tugyuni wala kepadi ganta sakugure. Ng tugimitaw ganta sakugure.
아로지바 단자니래.
Rangyupa ng tugyuni le.
야, 좋아요. 이걸로 가셔야죠.
And so his question, if you didn't hear it online, is how do we understand the difference between the Sautantrika Madhyamaka and the Prasangika Madhyamaka?
자, 네, 론지바도 단자와니라 제바간이 거는 지레스는 또 네, 늘 제바요 말. 정식이 셈도 사글 살로노자지로. 늘 제바케요 말.
정식이 셈.
정식이 셈.
아, 정식이 셈.
정식이 셈 바지야 그 셈도. 다 교비 잘리 제바요 말이지.
So the difference. So first thing is that the difference between these two philosophical schools, the Swatantrika and the Prasangika, in terms of method, there is no difference. For example, in terms of understanding of bodhicitta and of the paths and grounds, there is no difference.
딱 그니는 기타지나 다 따위차 시어를 기초 먼저 제법 못 써요. 제법 지. 아니 단계도 못 기초 지. 제법 지도 다 정말 못 써요. 그래서 다도 좀 그거지. 다들이 가서 가르는 시즈나
And so this is according to method, and according to view, they have what's called eight main differences. 8 differences that we talk about, and we don't need to talk about all of this. We can talk just about the difference in the understanding of emptiness.
단계와 지나 주던지 또비 따자래요. 또바 늘 노점지야만.
So, for example, the Prasangika, they're going to say that everything that exists, every phenomena, is only conceived by the conceptual mind. It's only imputed by the conceptual mind. It's merely an appearance, they say. Merely appearing. Merely an appearance. And the Swatantrika, they're going to say, no, it's not like this.
Rupongera so topi tazaresi. Quasi chutange topi tazarina, rupongola jam mepaton, pachut songola rayo pajatu marilla. Topi tazarina, pajongola rayona, rupongola yogore, rupongola yona, pajongola yogore. Topi tazarina chibarella.
So the Prasangika, they say that every phenomena is merely imputed by the conceptual mind. It's merely imputed. And the Swatantrika says, no, it cannot be like this. things that are merely imputed by the mind are things such as the horns of a rabbit that completely do not exist. And if we say that everything is the same as being merely imputed by the mind, then there's no way that we can say that the non-existence of the rabbit horns and the existence of the, which animal has a horn? Of the bull's horn, we cannot posit a difference among these things. How come one doesn't exist and the other one exists if they're both merely imputed by the mind?
Tini nipate ronji pagichina kansa inanda katomba ina kari inanda kun seji patsinanda seji nyego yores. Kansa jina tsiando seji noshitula kansa ilabuda.
And also the Swatantrika says that if we, for example, a person or a cub or anything, if we try to look for this phenomena, there is something that we need to find. There is a illustration. There is an illustration that you need to find when you go to look for it. But the Prasangika says that we don't find it.
That Tanjarizina, Tata Tseni Niesona, the Bertrand, the Drink Marilla. Simi, Konsa Jina, Tsiandonichi, Konsa Pomonochi, Nijuna, Tanjarizina, the Zan Drink Marilla.
But then the Prasangika says that if we look for things, for example, if we try to find where is the person, where is the I, we don't find it. It's impossible to find it, they say. Yeah, he said that, yeah, maybe, I don't know if it answered completely because there's so many things to talk about this.
Yeah,
if we talk about this question, we can talk for a whole day and it's not going to be finished.
Yeah.
Other questions?
We were talking about the 3 types of wisdom here, and the third one was meditation. But is this the same kind of meditation we talked about in the last chapter, the karma binding, or is this a different kind of meditation now?
Shirab sununi tobi shirab dang sabi shirab gom shirab di gom do yere ro di dang ngzu liu ngama na ngzu ding jing ko la chun chi shire ro di chikware be jine dang gom shirab di chikware be
jini dio shira mare jini de tin zera tombo tu sam gam na tin ze shira ni jini ki ores
gom ni shine
tombo gam goro na so gam tempe na matawa na ta semu pa chila ni gam mo gam na ani ko sen ti chi pa tin ze jini ki ora jini thong ore jini topa jini muni tomba ni ta kare na ti chi nya ba jabi teni ke pa che utili donjo bi shira se ki ora thong ze de ne tombo jini ki ta ka zo me ma so she ya de jini ro de tanda gam bi shira gam bi ngola jini gam le ore
ne gom ki chene chi gore ni cha
gam ga za do chi bare ni ga gam le jini dio san tombo chi na ma to yo ni ga de san tombo chi gam na because na jini le wisha jini le one tani tela tenika ni shira ki o tela hando lo shi
in terms of being meditation, we can understand that it's the same. But wisdom is not the same as concentration, right? So our last chapter was about the higher training in concentration, which also involves meditation, and now we're talking about wisdom. And then the wisdom of meditation, for example, if we use impermanence, so the wisdom realizing impermanence, and we meditate on it, so we contemplate and we meditate, we get to a point where we are also, our mind becomes single-pointedly focus on this topic of impermanence, and then we develop this koma binding, this concentration state of mind, concentrated state of mind, and then having developed this koma binding, then we use this mind to start investigating, for example, emptiness, and that's when we have the union of this koma binding and special insight.
This society imagine nga tsara sarele. It's the data zero remas. Carrela nera. Only gombish ni gomju shiro kiwala ani jeni ngon dogo. No, the keton ni gomju shiro kiwala yo jeni ngon dogo ngi bayo mares. Abada. Yo gomju shiro ngi le yum choi. Na matapa to shiro na sota kiwala yo. Jeni ngon dogo.
He said here that if he's not careful, he's gonna get a tsa, which is what they get when they lose the debate in the monastery.
지간할 사지.
So I need to be careful because we are talking about the wisdom of meditation, right? And for you to have wisdom of meditation, you don't need to have calm abiding. But for you to have the wisdom of meditation of emptiness, then you need to first have developed calm abiding. But for things such as impermanence, beforehand, you don't need to have had calm abiding for you to have the wisdom of meditation regarding impermanence. But regarding emptiness, you need calm abiding.
아니 다기티 요식 제바 마시는 진이 건빌로도 센시직 바래. 거기 제바 쟁 바래. 싫어 건빌로도 진실로 성도 제거 비니고 제바였다. 진이도는 종거를.
이나용
나도 싫어 건바도 제거를.
그냥 컴퓨터 컴퓨터 수용 기가 치기어레스.
진이 가면 가서 제바 제거.
이나용 컴퓨터
싫어 가서 되니래.
제바 치기어레스.
되니래. 나중에 투 상 건바서보다.
아니 숨바데노네.
거기 싫어라 제바 제거.
제바 치기어레스.
그래서 진이 건발라요 건바들이 되나요? 제바 제거.
And there are also the differences that during meditation, calm abiding, and concentration, we are not analyzing anything, we're not investigating anything, we're just letting our minds there. During the developing, improving, increasing our wisdom of meditation, we are using this wisdom of analyzing, investigating. So there is this difference.
Maka?
Any other question?
Tenli?
Manka, Barry?
Tenli?
What is the difference between ultimate truth in the Bible in South Africa and the object of negation in the Sun?
Object of negation in the Sangha, okay. 근데 두대 발라 동동 덴바당 아니 대교기 각차 개박하래.
두디 바도
대교기 각차당 두대 발기 동동 덴바닌 그래? 개박하래. 그래야.
두디 바도 부리지요래. 두디 바는지 또도면 보이는 바는 엄마 바는지 그것도 되어야지. 두디 바도 또도 되면 돼서 그거는 엄마 바도 가짜래지 지요래.
아, 지퍼래.
지발은 게 지요래. 그때부터 지발이라서
So Andrew's question was, what is the difference between the understanding of ultimate reality for the South Tantrika, this is one of the lower tenets, South Tantrika, and the object of negation for the Prasangikas, the highest tenet. And he said that, in general, we can say that everything that the South Tantrika considers as ultimate reality is conventional reality for the Prasangikas. Everything that they call ultimate reality, they are negating. So it's the object of negation. They are negating. And then there are people that say that that it's the same thing. The way that South Tantrikas understand ultimate reality and the object of negation for the Prasangika. I don't know if you can actually say that it's the same thing. I think we cannot say that it's actually the same thing, but it's possible to understand like this.
그래서 저번시고다 너디 밖에 본바도도 되는 거래요. 본바도 가져라. 본바도도 된바세야 또 가져자 이제 가려나. 또도 너디 빨리라 또도 된바랑 생이도 되지. 되면. 또도 된바랑 생이도랑 생이도가 되지. 되면.
Prevedo debala.
너디 말이야. 저따처럼. 또 된지래랑 생이 가르잖아. 또비 따봐서 많이 용문이 잡아. 대랑 생이. 오, 네. 간격이 또 비따서 많이 배우는 좀 가자. 어디래?
이런 거꾸로는 같잖아요.
거꾸로 가잖아.
For example, one example. The South Tantrika, they say that the glass is ultimate reality, but the Prasangika don't say that a glass is the object of negation. They don't say glass is an object of negation. But the way that the South Tantrika explain ultimate reality, they say that this is a very technical term. Every specifically characterized phenomena is ultimate reality. And the definition of specifically characterized phenomena is not merely posited by the mind, existing from its own side. So that's the definition of specifically characterized phenomena. And for the Prasangikas, their object of negation is this existence from its own side. So we can say that they are very similar or the same.
이제 좀 같이. 지금 찍었어. 일단 내가 말하는 저한테 되게 저거 당도 zamarana 아니
true.
그들라면
So I think now we reach our time, but it's raining a lot here in McLeodganj. So we can keep asking questions, or we can have some tea. Whatever.
그래서 디세메나는 페나리
No, we have no electricity
Are
for
you-
tea.
Huh?
No electricity for tea.
Yes. And if you want to go, it's also okay. It's not your time.
그래서
Yes.
그님을 좋아요.
Enjoy it.
Krishna, can you give insight in how free will exists in the perspective of emptiness and also karma? Because like if free will exists on its own, it should be an ultimate reality.
Okay. How would you translate free will? Maybe Ramon?
It's totally not the concept.
아니면 저기 그래.
로레 제셔서 그거
Maybe the light has arrived. Yeah, we have light now. So then 그냥 어쨌든 company down ligi chene ngatu Ramon di kanta satu gure. Ngatu Ramon you made the.
요시스키 가르세
남인가 저 인치 기도 내가 저 free will 답기래. free will 세나 ngatu Ramon yere. 그냥 직접 같이 tugiyo. Yana ligi chane ngatu Ramon you mare.
리체스
Lila tene sama ngatu lila tene rangsingi dogire ngatu Ramon kene jigyong you mare. Parichina ngatu ngene 제가 뭔가 좀 말해 리레 아니 company 당 얘기 전에 가서 랑왕 딩가 저기 랑왕 다서 그거래 아니 건디양 답선디 랑왕 이어나 아니 디 던던데 봐 샤거래 랑왕디 랑닝원에 이어나 아니 던던 봐 샤거래 그래서 랑왕 이어면
리치 되는 로 요마르라라
리당 company 니저디 펑션스
아니 리기 전에 리 나르서 가르치나 이미지 리레샤 뭐 서서 로마도라라
좀
이게 매번 로 요레스 로 요레
so
리레데 릴 때도레데 로 요레스
리 가리게
리 나서 리옹 정조레데 로 요레스 나니 다긴 거 이제는 쓰신 것도 이제 다니엘 레버 집안의 기비 수수수 거를 수수수 니레스 혼자 자샤 수수 요레스
이는 릴레 때문에 기래
릴레데 기레스 리드 수수수 거라마 리송게 좀 같이 봐
So first thing that I say is that first of all, I'm not sure exactly how to translate free will, so I translated independence, or this ability of doing things independently that we might have. First, he says that he wants to say, yeah, we have independence, or we can say we have a free will. We are born, if we talk about karma, we are born out of the power of our karma that we have accumulated, but still, as the Buddha has said, you are your own friend, you are or your own master, your own enemy. So we do have independence or free will.
그냥 난 거지 나로 나선 trouble 나로 당난 거나 리레 나로 온차 지어 말해서 대대요 말. 그 멤버들 텐도 다시 제바 있는 거 자유래서. 이게 나서도 자그로 다시 제쳐라. 다요 베트레다 톨란도스는 나페 트레타 메이나 다오 달리리 지아미도 소소세 되나 셈발 고용 차로. 그래서 리레 자이지데 로메바 말해서.
So when we talk about karma, so just from the perspective of karma, then we understand that, for example, headache can come because of karma, but still we cannot think that just because it's our karma, then there's nothing to be done. There are still many different choices that we can make. We can still go to the doctor to treat our headache, or we can just leave it and make it get worse and worse. So it's not just because we are under the control of karma that we don't have any independence.
맞아. 나서 솔로 트리토나 다 돈반이나 소노 야포토 되니 리르 겨압도 줘 봐거리. 아니 소솔로 롱요 봐도 자서 돈반이나 솔로토나 소솔로 롱요 봐. 리르 겨지 동지요 봐. 자서 다 고토요. 돈반이나 소노토이나
Tomando se não tô nada isso, se não é eu para
소소 롱요 봐. 리르 니파들 겨통 요레스. 리르 겨통 메바 말.
And also regarding emptiness, also you talked about emptiness. When we understand emptiness, when we really practice on understanding emptiness, that's when we understand that we actually do have independence. And that's when we understand that we do have the power of changing the control that karma has upon us. Through the understanding of emptiness, we can change this.
배나 같은 데래. 다 넘게 맞서 용수 잡았거든. 아니 서머치야지 진도. 사문치야 지제 거니 고만년의 데레 다자 tomba 아니 성지야 디스컬라 마치 뭐간가 신 무슨 지무도 제네 아니 키르가 코나 사문치 말아
Angulimala.
다 코가 디파 카테스 리가르 사르는 코시나 냐노 기아페 냐노 띵나 치문이와 그 리사요 사요레 디나코 다자 tomba 콜로소죠 코추냐레지 지구코 다자메 공부다 냐 냐니 지금 맞죠 릴라 코 저거 콜로로 와차도 그래서 릴라 저거 와차도 내나 그냥 그냥
So, for example, there is a story in the from the life of Buddha Shakyamuni when he met with Angulimala, and maybe you have heard. Angulimala, for those who don't know, he was someone, we can say maybe a serial killer at the time of the Buddha, that he had a necklace with 999 fingers, and he wanted to kill another person so that he could complete his necklace with 1,000 fingers. And when he met the Buddha, they crossed their paths, and he met the Buddha, and the Buddha saw that his karma was going to take him to the hell realms. His karma was taking him to the hell realms, and he was going to the hell realms. But he met the Buddha, and they talked, and he practiced, and he became an arahat. So he didn't go to the hell realms. So if we didn't have any independence, we should only follow the path of karma. So he should have gone to the hell realms, but he became an arahat, or a fully liberated being.
그러니까 리그만 좀 되시면 됐어. 리세다 뭐뭐지가 리세게 지기야가 마시 리세 사세 데니지 티고만 변하면서 지 그저저 매반도 리선데라. 근데 말이야. 리세의 자와리 좀 리가 제 자와이디 자와 또 저쪽 자이겠어. 리 좀버 사네요. 리가 좀버 니만 리가 되자지잖아요. 치선 예바티니 가마가 리가 달리니 받는 내바존이 기사지 야부사. 이게 소소 다음에 산지가 다니다긴 거 이제는 쓰진 거든 제세들 소소 뭐 소소래 소소 가르치지 아니 리카가를 결교 소소로 오셔도 해서 이게 뭐요가 뒤때들이지.
So I think I'll talk a bit about the presentation of karma. Sometimes we have the impression that karma is something that we did in our past lives, and that it's like our fate, and we are bound to live our lives under the path that karma has written for us. But it's not like this. Karma is the results of things that we have done in the past, but all of this is subject to change in our present life. So it's possible for us to purify negative karma and change not experience the effects or the consequences, and to accumulate more good karma. So we do have this independence of becoming our own masters, so to say. I don't know if this was directed to your question.
What's the cause for this independence? That if we say with emptiness, nothing exists inherently.
The company can only come up to Geshela. Temperature chicken yumare. The Rawang the Yuker. The chicken temperature mina. Temperature mina.
롱 저거 말에는 다티 로컬에지. 나서 강산 가로를 리까지 롱 유에스가 데버터발라 니 롱이 맞춰봐야 돼. 롱도 메세 데 페터 로컬이라고 그랬어. 이니치스야요 말했어. 나를 리까지 롱이 칼라자 롱 유에스 롱 티탄 데버터발라 롱 저거 롱시기 저거 롱이 저거 롱 저거 지지. 그래서 페터 로컬이라고 그랬어.
Okay, yes. So this, when we talk about, for example, you talk about something being truly established, or also sometimes we say being independently established, where the Prasangika says that nothing have independent existence. So how come that we can have independence as people? So these things we understand as being very different. We don't talk about them in the same as the same thing. What we talk about independent existence in the context of ultimate reality, and what we talk about a person's independence in the world. For example, something that we say, I am independent, but I don't have an independent existence. We also say, I am true, but I'm not truly existent. Yes, sorry. I am true, or I am truth, but I'm not truly established. Is it the same? Do you hear this as the same thing? I am true, I am not truly established. It sounds the same or different?
Well, I know the Buddhist terminology, so it doesn't make sense to say people that haven't studied Buddhism.
Quando ce lo tagliamo il tempo di body carina, il tempo che non ha ci niente di come ci va a chiudere ma
인도하고서라. 인도야고. 오마 말다.
come prendere come pere
그 오마로 받도는 소용 그래서.
pere
아니 제가 그니를 연나. 마카 벨리. Have you come question? 그럼 question.
Kailangan tiwame.
question 마카.
Everything is so new to me. No questions.
Tengi Geshe per sabasta gamre ngala.
콜라이. 야보냐디 도마니컬 눈이 사바이네 앞에.
Very good, yeah, very good. If you're new to emptiness, it's
Region
very good.
Very good. 사바이나. 이 가르치지라. 제가 그렇게 좀.
Yes, and
In Chittamatra, there are two emptinesses. There's the emptiness of subject and object being separate, and then there's the second one, which I'm curious if Geshela would explain.
근데 sensampa company de tuniere. Tuniere di yudan yujeni kipadon.
여기 지금
Tuniere de ni pas de kala keran chiksuntu.
센sam비엘라 동반이라 아니 또바이실에 데비타와지도 도메오실에 데비타지. 다디데냐. 다네 나서 고마오시요라. 온시기 연노설에 데비타와 지자지. 이지 시바기 연노설에 데비타와 지자지. 이제 데비. 당가서 다니엘 그래. 또바이실에 데비타도 도메오실에 데비타다. 다저로 딜라마드나 나서 고마오시요라. 나나지.
도메.
그래서 도메로. 그래서 그 시바를 연노설에 데니 돈이 지자요. 뭐 이지 시바가 연노설에 데니 돈이 지자. 돈이 시요.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's about this that you're talking, but Andrew is asking about for the mind-only school, they have two different ways of understanding emptiness. One related to the non-difference of the subject and object, and a second one. And then Geshela is saying, yes, they have two ways of understanding. One is related to the way that objects appear to our sense minds, so the non-conceptual minds, such as eyes, nose, etc. And then they also have the way of explaining emptiness regarding the objects that appear to our mental consciousness, or to our conceptual mental consciousness. The meaning is the same of these two emptiness, but they have to pose it in different ways. I don't know.
다 아니 돈을 오실에 때니 다 왔어야 돼. 배나 맞아 물을 지자지 줄. 무실. 배나 무실한테 더도 저거 너무다. 예, 너무나 너희 뭐 요새 너무다. 이 요새 뭐한테 가자를 놨더랬어. 이 요새 요 말에 이 더도 무 시바가 거를 놓아서마도 이 더도 초록사니 요 말을.
So for example, when they talk about this emptiness regarding the non-conceptual consciousness, so the sense consciousness, such as our eyes, when we look at a book, right, at a distance, it appears to be distant from us. It appears to be on the outside. There's a book existing outside of my eye consciousness. They say that this is completely non-existent. This is their object of negation. There is no book outside of the eye consciousness.
다 무그 시바다 배나 무그 도와가 bom바다 지지라. 되니 배 모시리스.
They say that the eye consciousness and the object that it perceives, such as this book, they are from the same nature. They are of one substance. One substance or one nature.
대대 가서 거기 노아다 가르노데 그러잖아. 무그 시바다 바조 연이 보도 된다 가서 때는 정시 농데도. 그 정시도 노아데 가자이라 그랬어. 정시지 맞죠. 지진이 동이라. 지도 진세만이 보도 지지기 동아들라.
And how does it appear to us? It appears that they're not from the same nature, from the same substance. It appears to have a distance between the two of them.
그때가 다시 또는 백깔리tere.
But if we debate about this, it's so hard, so complicated.
나는 돈이 초록강한 통라. 초록강한테 초록요만 입히시면 이랬어. 니 노로요한테 다시 통되랬어. 그게 저것서 나는 돈아 봐서 책장기 통도. 이 가래를 무기시바도 다니지게 뭐지게. 무기시바도 지대. 무기시바도 지대는 무기시바도 농간 농도. But then
when you debate, it gets very confusing because, for example, I'm here and my mind is inside me, right? But I can look outside and right now I can see some trees outside of us. But can I say that these trees are inside me if they're the same substance as my eye consciousness? So is the tree inside me? Are all of you inside me? Is all of these things inside me? Can get very confusing debating about their view.
다니 도바이실을 때문에 따라서 이게 배낭아 zon디 안딜라 니 조시자 미지다요라 조시자들라 배나 템버스 미타오티 그 템버스 미 따사지요라 따사티 코로 동본인이 조시모 조요 말이라 이 조시 임바 미타바티 미도 달라티니 그 조시집이 미타바지레마도 코로 판나 따사 이제 코로문이 조시 동본인이 잡아지레 도시 어디 디가와들라 도메이실 또
And then the wisdom related to the conceptual mind, so now we talked about the sense consciousnesses. The one related to the conceptual mind is, for example, there is a book, right? I'm going to use a book. There is a book. We have a mind that says, okay, this is a book, but this didn't come to existence first as a book. There is something, a basis on the top of which we impute a book. We say that it's a book, but at first it was not a book. Yeah, but the view of the mind only Chitta Mantra is very hard. If you can really understand well the mind only school or the Chitta Mantra school, then it's much easier, very easy to understand the Prasangika. Because many, most of the ancient masters of India, they actually were Chitta Matra. They held the Chitta Matra view. For example, the Arya Asanga and and Vasubandhu and Dharmakirti. Dharmakirti, all of them, many very famous masters. They're all very smart, right? Very intelligent, so they have a very hard view to understand. Well, the video is dark already here for us, like it's completely black.